well, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, you want my business card here. And I looked at him, I said, but you're German. He goes, yeah, in my country, you're born, you live, you work, you die, it's shit. But here's the Wild West. Here you can be a little cowboy. I had the camera hanging around my neck, and he said, you have a camera, you want to make a photo? And I said, sure. He goes, yeah, okay, we go to the rooftops. On the way up there, I find out this guy's 69 years old. He's hired by the city of Calgary to get up every morning, put on his red shirt and his red boots, and pretend to be a cowboy. So we get up there, and he goes, okay, Dave, you wait there, and I show you how a real cowboy jump does do. So these are my favorite people, ordinary people that have a dream, and they make it happen. There's nothing more noble or difficult to do. Next, please. Yeah. That's San Francisco, Alcatraz in the background. He just wants to be a diver. Next. That's Perisay Rock at the tip of Gas Bay. Go ahead. So I came up over the hill in Ireland, and I thought, you never see nuns like this, right? They're always reading Bibles, not the personals or the classifieds. So I took the photo, and the one on the right heard the shutter click, and she said, did you just take a photograph, young man? And I said, is that okay? And she goes, it's not at all. And I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. She goes, not about that. I got 2 pairs of spectacles, I got wire rims and tortoise shells, and I think I look a bit better than the tortoise shells. What'd you say, Beth? Beth goes, no doubt about it, If you get up that hill, young man, redo it. Okay, so this is the Dempster Highway in the Yukon. It's 725 kilometers long. This road is about 30 feet thick. It's made of successive layers of gravel, because if you put asphalt down in the permafrost, it would just heat up and melt and disappear, and you wouldn't have a road. So halfway up Eagle Plains, about 400 kilometers up, there's a small place. It's just one house with a bar, a restaurant, one gas pump. And I pulled in there, and they had no gas. So it's too far to go to the end and too far to go to the beginning. So I waited 6 days for gas to come. And so you're there in the middle of this beautiful nothingness, and then the second night, a busload of Germans came in, and a huge red Mercedes double-decker. And they're like, hello, we're only in the wild for 1 week, and where is the petrol? And I said, well, it's only my second day, but there isn't any. You have to wait. And they said, das ist scheiße. So that night, about 4 in the morning, somebody's shaking my tent, and I hear this voice, hello, Mr. Canada. I said, what's up? And they go, we are sorry to be rude to wake you like so, but we make a fire, and it's a little bit hot. You might want to move your house. So I open up my tent, and they have all the picnic tables piled on top, and they're burning them and dancing around. So I move my house, I see them the next morning, and they're like, oh, Mr. Canada, we are sorry about last night, we are a little bit wild. But you know, you forget how amazing Canada is, and it's good to be reminded. So the Germans you meet up there, they talk about 3 things. We have seen salmons in the streams, they are hopping, it's quite cool. We have seen these mooses with the bones. How can they walk? It's not really possible. And the favorite thing, which they don't have in Germany, is bears. We have no bears, right? So I was talking about this grizzly bear that was loose in town to another photographer. This German comes over, he's got a huge bushy beard, Bowie knife tied around his thigh with a bandana, and he pulls his chair backwards and he goes, I hope I'm not so rude. You're talking about this grizzly. And I said, yeah, 2,800 pounds loose in Dawson City. 1 hit and you're done. And he goes, I know, I have been this close, no shit. And I said, what did you do, pepper spray? Pepper spray, bullshit, yeah? I said, what did you do? And he goes, only one thing to do with a beer. You look at him in the eye and tell him who is the boss. Don't ever do that. Another time I was having a cup of tea by the Yukon River, and a raft comes down. The Yukon River is about 20 kilometers an hour. The raft is about half the size of this room. So the Germans buy these rafts, they buy a full team of Huskies, they got a tent, the boiling chili pot, and you know they have those green hats with the feathers, and he's in the middle of the river going like this, hello, and I yelled up and I said, hello, I said, are you okay? And he goes, great, he goes, I'm Huckleberry Finn. That's a real sign up north in the Northwest Territories. They have a problem. Okay, so this is in Tuktoyaktuk. This is as far north as you can go in Canada. It's on the Beaufort Sea. You can only fly there in the summer. In the winter, you can drive on the ice roads. And I went up there, and it's all permafrost, and these kids are playing around on an old smokehouse, so in the winter they'll hang Arctic char over here and they'll smoke the fish. And so I'm walking around town, and this guy comes up and he goes, "Hey." And I go, "Hi," and he goes, "Hey, you're not from here, are you?" And I said, "No, actually, I'm not." And he goes, "All right, I'm going to give you a tour. We're going to go straight to the gravel pit." So we go to the gravel pit. It looks like a gravel pit, a huge pit with nothing in it. And he goes, "This is where it all happened, Dad. They set up over here, and they play this way." And I said, "This way?" And he goes, "Right." And I took some photos, and I said, "Great. Who played this way?" And he goes, "Oh," he goes, "I forgot to tell you, it was Metallica." Yeah, I said, what? And he goes, "Yeah, they'd done something wrong in the South to do with drugs. And they had to do some community service, so they set up here. And I'll tell you," he goes, "there's about 300 of us, and it was a real racket. I couldn't hear right for about a month." Okay, next. Okay, so I'm driving along the Alaska Highway. There's a sign that says, "Best coffee on the Alaska Highway." I pull in. I said, "I'll have a cup of coffee. You look really familiar." And the first thing he did is he plugged that machine in and he sang Heartbreak Hotel. And he finished like this, and it was awful. And he got up, and I said, "That's amazing." And he said, "You want to try it in front of 30,000 people, little buddy? It's a whole different ball game." And I said, "But what happened to Vegas? Like, what are you doing up here in the middle?" He said, "Yeah, I don't mind, weekly shows. I don't mind, dress rehearsals and all this kind of stuff, but the intense pressure to produce new hits week after week. I'm on a sabbatical. I'm hiding out up here, going to staging next year, 200-300 people a night." He goes, "What are you doing, little buddy?" I said, "Nothing." He goes, "You wait right here." So he comes back with a white rhinestone suit on, covered in gravy stains, because he's the cook, owner, operator. It's way too tight, right? He comes in walking like this, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, "I got something to show you out back." I get a little worried. But he opens that door and we start walking towards this pink Cadillac. And I get closer and I have my hand on my side and I'm squeezing so I don't smile. And I can see that he's got angels this high, glued all over his Cadillac, pink Cadillac. We get close and I said, "You got angels on your car, how come?" And he puts his hand on my shoulder again and he goes, "You ain't gonna believe this, but I've been abducted by aliens." I said, "For sure, what happened?" He goes, "Well, I was on that number 2 dam there behind Carcross, big beam of light came down through the clouds, sucked me right out, the whole thing's a blur, but I came back, I'm the king. Now, do you want to hear Blue Hawaii? Was that chips or baked potato?" And I said, "Baked potato." So I spent about 5 hours there, and then he shows me his driver's license, Elvis Presley, and I said, "Oh, well, it must work really well that people come and you sing them some songs and you get more people." And he goes, "Wait a second. Is that pretend?" He goes, "I am the king." So he's never once out of character. The RCMP took him to court. Oh, he took them to court a couple of years ago because there was an article in the Globe Mail that they defamed him and he said he wasn't Elvis Presley. So he took them to court, $10 million lawsuit. They threw it out. He's still out there singing away. Okay, this is Carl from Newfoundland, Green Point. And Carl fished. Yay! Carl fished off that dock for 44 years with his neighbors, the 3 Mudge brothers, Tom, Alex, and Steve, and their wives, Nellie, Lizzie, and Winnie. And they catch the cod, they split it, they salt it, dry it on the rocks, and take it by boat to Corner Brook because there are no highways then. Anyway, I took this photo, and I called him up a couple of months later, and I said, "Carl, they want to use your photo for something or other. Is that okay?" And he goes, "Uh-huh." And I go, "Well, you don't sound too good." And he goes, "Actually, I cut my thumb off with a table saw." And I said, "When did that happen?" He goes, "Oh, about a minute ago." So what are you doing talking to me? You should be in the hospital. He goes, "Well, often the table saw is like a chainsaw through a picnic table and you're working outside." And he goes, "I was working outside." He goes, "I don't know where the thumb's gone." And I said, "Well, okay, what does this mean for you and fishing?" He goes, "Well, I got some gauze pads and some duct tape and I wound it around really tight." And he goes, "Fishing, I don't know." He goes, "But I'm going to have a hell of a time driving a snowmobile." Okay, everybody's favorite 4 brothers, the Court brothers, who born in the same house and lived together in the same house. Their father died at 98. His name is Beecher. He calls the boys Vance, Quinton, Veerd, and Emmert Court. They're the kind of people, when you show up, the first thing they say is, "How long can you stay?" And when you leave, they say, "So when are you coming back?" Yeah, so and you know what, you sit down at the table and you'll eat fish, and you talk about fishing because they've never been anywhere else. They've never dated. They've never been cheated or had their trust broken. So somebody will reach in front of you for the salt, and the old guy will put his knife and fork down and say, "Did you just reach in front of Dave for the..." And he goes, "Uh-huh." And he goes, "Well, apologize." And the guy goes, "I'm sorry, Dave." So it's like they're still 14. They're amazing people. The next one, so Veer, this is my favorite guy. And I met him on the end of that dock, and I said something stupid like, "I guess you've been here a while," and this is what he looked like in the next picture, and he put his big buckets of fish guts down. He said, "Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, we're going fishing." Next one. 2 minutes. Oh, okay. That's Veer on his boat. I'm going to have to cut it short here. Sorry. So Veer is, okay, I'll just forget it. We'll go through the next part. Sorry about this. So these two guys showed up for the first day of fishing. I gotta go back. George and Francis, they're about 4 foot high and they look like saddlebags with eyes. So I go down, can you believe the first day of fishing, these guys show up. And I go down to use the bathroom, we're steaming out of port, I open the window, and Francis on the right's there, and he's got the back off the toilet tank, and he's pulling out a bottle of whiskey. And he goes, "Oh," he goes, "don't tell Veer." He goes, "Obviously, we are not here for the fishing." You know what? I'm going to run out of time. I'm just trying to say what I got left.
Take my time.
Okay, go back for a sec. I got to tell you about it. So this is Francis. He lives in this place. He put the roof on the Banff Springs Hotel. He's an amazing guy, but he lives alone. He's a bachelor. You go in there, and you got to wake him up. He's got 3 things: a bed, table saw, and a TV. And he's got like 6 inches of kibble on the ground, crunchy cat food. And you look down, and there's about 40 cats. And I go, "Francis," and he grabs one like this. And he looks at, and I go, "Who's that?" And he goes, "This one's called Village." And I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, "That's where I found it." So Pat Piquette came that first day I went fishing too. His family moved from Cornwall, England, to Fogo, Newfoundland in 1740. And for 10 generations, the Piquettes fished until they ran out of fish with that moratorium in '92. I said, "What's it like to fish?" And he goes, "You know what? It's not a way to make a living, but it's the way to make a life." Next one, please. So I met Pat's mother 8 years later, and I gave her a copy of this picture of Pat, and she put it up on the wall by noon the next day. Look at this Canadian living room, eh? This is Pope, it's just like 300 years ago. I didn't want to tell her. Pope Benedict or somebody. Anyway, we'll skip through. Oh, keep going. It's Fogo. Okay, so just 2 pictures left. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, so here we are in India for the Chor Bazaar on Sunday in New Delhi, and it's the biggest bazaar in the world. You can get everything you don't really need, but it's a great place to go and take photos. So, like the TV didn't have any guts in the back, and I don't know who can use a bed like that, but so I'm taking photos, and I go around the corner, and there's about 200 guys, and they're like this. And I said, "Hello?" And they said, What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just taking photos." And then he said, "Sir, you are not." And I said, what am I doing?" And he goes, "You are making fun. You go back to your country and say, 'Here is India. It is hot, it is dusty, it is muggy, it is filthy.'" And I said, "Wow, you know what? It's my favorite country of all the countries I've been in. The first thing I think about when I leave India is, when can I come back?" And he went like this, "Let us drink tea." Okay, the last one. Okay, these are my 2 favorite guys. New York City, Upper Harlem. I'm in a takeaway, and this is really Upper Harlem, right? And I heard the door open and close, and I turned around, and I heard this voice go, "Oh my God." And I turned around. He is 6'8". This guy's about the same. He's actually a dancer with the New York Island Ballet. They're 2 really great-looking guys. And he came over to me, and he goes, "This is insane." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "The Metropolitan, the Guggenheim." He goes, "You were there today." And I said, "That is amazing. There's 20 million people in greater New York City, and you remember me?" And he came very close, and he goes, "I love curly hair." And I said, "Right on." Yes. So do I. And so then he goes up to the counter and he goes, "Honey buns," he goes, "I was here last night, okay? I ordered the chicken stir fry, I went home. There's no fucking chicken. What's the deal?" And she's like, "What?" And he goes, "Okay, give me number 23, the vermicelli." So this guy comes close, and they're totally these with yelling and talking. And then these street guys come in, right? It's a takeaway. The area's about here to the computer, and there's about 12 guys come in with gold teeth, gold chains, puffy black jackets, black tubes. So we're all jammed in like this. And they're like, "Yo, what's happening, man? And he turns around and goes, riff-raff. I grab my camera and my noodles and I bolt for the door. An hour later, I'm in the youth hostel, which is still in Upper Harlem. The door opens and he's there about to do his night show. I didn't know he was staying there. So he's got a pink bathroom rug jacket on. He's got these hot pants that are like a shoelace. And he's got red pumps now. And the red pumps, so he's about 7 foot tall. This guy's wearing green velour. He sees the camera and he goes, oh my God. He goes, it's showtime, baby. So they start doing their routine in the hall. It's amazing. And they both end up doing the splits in the elevator doors. And you know, if you hold an elevator open too long, a bell starts to ring. So it turned out security was in the next room. Here we are in the elevator, been taken down the front desk. So they're laughing. We get to the front desk and the guy goes, oh, he goes, you again? You're nothing but trouble. He goes, every morning at 4:30 you come in here after your little night charades. You wake everybody up. This is the world's biggest hostel, 550 beds. It's about living and considering somebody other than yourself. He goes, how would you like if somebody came in your room, woke you up in the middle of the night? He leaned on the desk and he got really close and he said, that's my fantasy. So they grabbed him by the ear. They marched him out on Broadway. They went to his room. They cleared all the stuff. And they threw it out. 5 minutes later, he opens the door and he goes, you fuckers. Anyway, a couple of weeks later, I'm back in New York City. I knock on his door because he's got a real job at the New York Island Ballet. And I get to the elevator. He's not coming. All of a sudden, the door opens. Oh, you, Dave. What an unexpected place. Do you remember the night in the elevator with Misery McCrae? And he goes, oh. He goes, I haven't seen the man since. So I guess I got some photos to give to you as a memory. Have you got a couple of minutes? And he goes, pulls the door to and he goes, you'll have to come back a little later. He goes, I'm slightly preoccupied. Thanks a lot. Sorry it went so long.